En jy is ingeskakel op die Groot Ontbyt, Groot FM 90.5 en jy het nou gemis as luisteraar. Ons het 'n bietjie boeke gesels, maar jy kan inskryf as jy boeke wil wen. Jy SMS die woorde boeke of die woord boeke, jou naam en straatadres na 499 of R15 'n SMS. En baie lekker nou in die ateljee, het ek vir Rael Birns, and Associates Music Business Consultants, en ons gaan nou heerlik gesels, unique music. Oor so rukkie terug het Gert Vloknel en Teens Jordaan mekaar so mekaar aangevat. Dit was meer Gert baie ongelukkig geweest oor royalties tantieme, soos hulle dit nou noem in Afrikaans. So welcome, Rael. We're going to talk about the legal side of the music industry in South Africa. A big welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
And you've been in South Africa for lots of years, but you originally from Britain?
I came in 1972.
1972?
Yeah.
Never wanted to go back?
I fell in love with the country, and my wife and I fell in love in the country, and our sons grew up in the country. My younger son was born here.
No, so, you definitely, after all these years, you're South African now, definitely.
Yeah.
I just want to find out just a bit of background about yourself. How did you end up in the music industry, and especially the legal side and the royalty side? How did that happen?
I'm not a specialist in the legal and royalty side, but I got into the music business when I was 15 in the United Kingdom. In those days, there was a skiffle music era in the late 50s. I started playing skiffle music, and then I played some ragtime jazz. And then because of the basis of skiffle was American folk music, I got very attached to British folk music, and my love then developed into Celtic music.
Well, the Irish side,
and I just developed into music as a business as well. And then in the 1980s, I was one of the Warner Brothers general managers in South Africa.
Sure.
And one of the things I did for them, oddly enough, was to launch Warner Home Video, which is very similar to in its marketing, but these days I'm in business on my own, and my clients are the record companies, and I do strategic broadcast marketing for them. I've also done a fair amount of production over the years, and I've also still performed up till a couple of years ago as well with South Africa's Waldorf String Band.
Yeah. So you're on both sides.
Yes.
As a musician and behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate in that way, because most artists are only learning about the artistry and the music side of the music business. Very few of them bother to learn about the business side, and that is quite necessary.
So, but that was my next question. Do you think international artists knows more? Because this whole misunderstanding between these two South African Afrikaans artists was because the one doesn't understand how it happens or how it works in terms of CD royalties and then live performing royalties and this and this. Do you think they must be more informed as artists?
Well, I think it happens all the way around the world. It isn't peculiar to South Africa where there's a misunderstanding. What people don't realise is that a record company signs a performer. A publisher signs a songwriter. And you don't necessarily have to be a singer to be a songwriter, and you don't necessarily have to be a songwriter to be a singer. I mean, if you look back over the years, one of the greatest songwriters of all time was George Gershwin. Have you ever heard of an album with him singing? No.
Yeah.
And similarly, I'm going back 50-odd years, did Frank Sinatra write songs? No.
And Celine Dion as well. One of the best singers, the song's given to her.
Exactly. I mean, you get John Denver, who started off, his name was John Duesenberg, and he wrote songs for hits for Peter, Paul and Mary before he recorded his own stuff under the name of John Denver.
And one of the confusing things I think that came out for the public thought this song is stolen. You can't steal a song that's already on a CD. I played in a band and we covered Metallica.
Yeah.
And we didn't need to ask permission.
You
from
don't
it.
need to ask
I mean, we
permission.
needed to pay the royalties. Let ons gesels met Rael Birns van eienaar van Unique Music en dis nou Gert Kloknel wat so bietjie ongelukkig was met teens Jordan oor tantieme. So we're talking about this scuffle. There was a bit of a scuffle between two artists, and I think the big confusion came in not necessarily the song that was on the CD, it was the live performing side. To say, listen, but the forms the one artist filled in covering the song said he only performed it twice in a year, but it's one of his famous songs. So let's start at the beginning. When I put a song on a CD and I cover it, who do I pay? Because there's Norm and there's Sambro and there's
Okay,
Risa.
what normally happens
Yes.
is that the record company will require a stat notice.
Yes.
That is the list of songs that's being recorded on that album CD. With that list, you have the name of the performer, the name of the writer, and the name of the writer's publisher. Now, the record company pays the publisher 6.7% of what is called the PPD, which is a term means price per dealer, because that's the only price that can be controlled. You can never control the retail price, but you can control the selling price into the trade. Now, the publisher takes that money and gives it to the writer of the song. Now, the record company doesn't sign a writer. The record company signs a singer or a performer or a band. Now, it is totally legal to cover other people's songs without asking their permission. You just do it and they get their royalty. The only time you have to ask permission is if you change even one word of the lyrics.
Yes.
So, for example, it can be a whole song and has the name Billy in it, and you want to change the name to Nelly. You've then got to ask the writer's or the publisher's permission to change that lyric.
We did a Afrikaans cover of Men Down Under, Down Under, Men at Work. And the first time it was, they said, no, we can't do it. And then after 10 years, there was some trouble. And then we needed to send in the translation of the way the Afrikaans version, also in English, so they can see what's been changed. And after 10 years, then they said yes, but we needed permission to do that.
Yes.
Okay, so that's correct. And then when you print a CD, we needed to pay the royalties beforehand, before the company that printed the CDs. They needed to know all the royalties or the publishers has been paid before they started printing the CD. And that was normal.
No, it's not.
So that is not like a...
Because what happens is that when you print the CD, normally on the sleeve notes, you will have the singer, the writer, and the publisher. When sales have been made every quarter or half year, depending on the arrangement between the record company and that publisher, they get paid their royalties.
And then live performing, and I think that's a big issue that people don't understand, because the Afrikaans market is huge. There's a lot of big shows, there's small shows, there's theatres. It's very lively. I think it's the most lively industry with the biggest money at the stage in South Africa.
It is.
How does that work? I go and I perform this cover song in a theatre. What must happen?
What normally happens is theatres have a licence through SAMRO, South African Music Rights Organisation, or through, there's now SAMPRA and Capasso that are also collection agencies. Now, a theatre pays a licence yearly to those agencies who pay out to the songwriters. Now, every performance that's done in a theatre, the producer of that performance should submit a list that the artist is singing, the songs they're singing, together with the publisher and the writer. And that normally happens. I know some major concert promoters, I'm not going to name them, but the larger concert promoters all do that. So, you have, for example, an international singer, Josh Groban, and he's doing a tour of South Africa. He has to submit the list of songs beforehand. And the venue pays the licence. Even the smaller venues, like, for example, Marks Park, has 2 folk music clubs there, one on a Wednesday once a month and one every other Thursday. But Marks Park pays to SAMRO, South African Music Rights Organisation, the music licence to perform music.
And I think what people also don't understand is that you can sell your music, even if you're the writer, like the Beatles' music.
Yeah.
I think Michael Jackson owns it, not even Paul McCartney.
Sure.
And that's quite interesting that you can sell that right of your music. You're not making the money with it anymore.
Sure.
And I know even close to home, Nico Carson's with Zambesi. He sold that for very little, and that song has made close to R1 billion.
Exactly.
Biggest mistake of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it can work the other way. There was a song written in the middle 80s by a couple of the members of the band Bright Blue.
Yes.
It's a song called Weeping.
Weeping. What
It
a
was
big
an
song.
anti-apartheid song
Yes.
at the time. Brilliant piece of music. It took a South African publisher, and his name is Jeff Painter, who worked for a large publishing company. Now he's an independent. In the early 2000s, he offered that song to Josh Groban. And Josh Groban has sold 3 million albums containing that song around the world.
Yeah.
And the songwriter or writers of the song from Bright Blue theoretically should have made a lot of money out
And they
of
made
it.
nothing.
Oh, no, they have made.
Oh, they've made money
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
Rael, we can talk a lot. Hopefully people understand a bit more of what's happening behind the scenes. Thank you so much, and great respect. So many years in the industry, 75 and still working. It's amazing. Thank you for...
Thank you so much for having me.
It was our pleasure.